Get ready for 3 Target-inspired DIYs. You won't believe how easy it is to make these high-end looking planters with items from Dollar Tree and Amazon. And as always, DIY treats. Welcome to my channel, Craft, Eat, Repeat. Hi guys, it's Aneka and welcome to my channel, Craft, Eat, Repeat. So one of my favorite things to do is to leave the kids at home with Nana for a while, let hubby do whatever he's gonna do, go to Target, grab a cup of coffee, and just like randomly walk around and dream of all the decor pieces and things that I can buy in Target. So this video is really fun because on one of my last daydreaming trips to Target, I saw some things that I really liked, and then I wasn't sure if I wanted to buy them or not because they were kind of pricey, and you guys know I like a good deal. And before I could make the decision to go back, it was a non-essential trip, so I was not able to go. So what I did was I grabbed some Dollar Tree items and some things that I got off of Amazon, and I recreated those things for like a fraction of the price. It was really fun, and I hope you enjoy it. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you like what you see, please go ahead and subscribe. Everyone hit that notification bell so you'll be ready when my next video comes out. And at the end of this video, please let me know which one was your favorite, and don't forget to give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below. Okay guys, it's time to craft. So while I was at Target, I took some video because I wanted to remember what I saw, and what I saw I did not like. This was $29.99 and I was not willing to pay for that. So what I did was I grabbed this vase from the Dollar Tree, and this is just a spool of twine that I got off of Amazon. Now honestly guys, this is a lot cheaper to buy it in bulk like this than it is to get it the nautical rope at Dollar Tree. So I'm going to drop a link in the description box so that you can get this same twine if you would like to get it and do some projects. Now I'm just going to wrap it around the vase, and make sure you get a clear vase. I did try this with a red one that was more the shape of the inspiration piece, but you could kind of see the red peeking through. And as you go around and do the bottom row, I kind of set it on the table to make sure that it would set evenly, and then I just continued wrapping it around and around until I got to the top of the vase. Now this is a really easy project to do, even a beginner crafter can do it, but it comes out looking so high-end. Once I got to the top, I made sure to put my twine a little bit higher than the top. I cut off my rope, and then I just added a little dab of hot glue right there at the top. Now sometimes you'll get where your twine or your rope is fraying a little bit, so you can just put another extra little dab of hot glue, and very, very carefully after it's cooled off for a moment, just squeeze it together, and that'll make it look nice and finished. Now, once I did that, I grabbed a lighter, and I very, very quickly and very carefully, you guys, I just ran right over this. And what that did is it burned all the little extra pieces off to make it look a little neater. Next, I took some painter's tape, and this was easy to do because you can see the line where each row of your rope is going, so you can just follow that right along. You'll need to break your tape off into smaller pieces just because of the shape of the vase. One piece of tape does not go on nice and flat, and you want it to be flat because you don't want any paint to get under your tape. Now, this is some paint that I got from Walmart. It was 50 cents, and I love this beautiful coral color, and I very, very lightly brushed it on to my twine. Now you want to make sure you don't have too much paint on your brush, or else you'll get globs of paint and it's hard to spread out on the twine. Once that was dry, I just removed the tape and I had my piece. Now instead of using the lighter again, I just used some scissors because I wasn't sure about putting heat on the paint, but I just absolutely love the way this came out. I think it looks gorgeous and just adds a pop of color that would make anyone smile. Now my next DIY is this hanging planter. I loved kind of the international look of it, but $20 I was not willing to pay. So I got this planter from Dollar Tree. It has little pieces on the inside, little pieces of plastic, and they're evenly spaced. So I just used those to make 4 holes. So I knew they would be an equal distance away from each other. And then I also used the pattern to make sure that I put my dots at the same point on each spot. Now I used a drill to just drill 4 holes into my planter. Guys, make sure you do this very, very carefully, nice and slow. After I had my holes drilled, I was ready to wrap my planter. Now I did cover the bottom of this one because it would be hanging. I knew that I would be able to see the bottom. So I just put a little dab of hot glue on the beginning of my twine and I put a little swirl in there. Then I was able to stick that right in the middle of the planter. There's a little plastic piece sticking up so it's easy to find the exact middle. I stuck that on there and then I just began wrapping the rope all the way around. And kind of like we did the previous project, we're just going to continue wrapping and wrapping until we get all the way to where we've drilled the holes. Now, guys, this is actually more relaxing than I anticipated. I just put some Netflix on and kept wrapping, and it was a really relaxing craft to do. Once I had the bottom covered, I just continued around all the way up the sides of the planter. So once you've gotten it mostly wrapped and you've gotten to where you drilled your holes, all I did was I put a little hot glue and stopped right before my hole, and then I put a little bit of hot glue after the hole. I made sure to leave just a little bit of slack over the hole because what I wanted to be able to do was to slide some rope in there to hang my planter. So I didn't want this to be glued on too tight. I left just a little bit of space so that I could move the rope when I needed to. Once I had the bottom half of the hole covered, and on my next pass around the planter, I needed to do the same thing again to completely cover the hole. So I stopped my hot glue right before the hole, left a little bit of slack, put more hot glue after the hole, and glued it on. This gave me kind of a little window that I could open up when I needed to. Then I'm going to snip it off, glue it to the top, and pass over it with a lighter very quickly and carefully, just like we've done in the previous DIY. Next, I needed to make some tassels, which I think is what drew me initially to this piece in the first place. So what you're going to need to make your tassels is a book, and just keep in mind that the length of your book is going to be approximately the length of your tassels. You're going to wrap it around and around. I did about 15 to 20 times. If you want a fuller tassel, you can do even more than that. And then you're just going to snip it off. You're going to take a piece, snip it off, and just tie off the top. And if you're using a book, that makes it really easy because you've got a little bit of distance between the pages and the top of the book, so you'll have a little space to slip your twine into. Now we're going to take it off of the book, and I'm going to show you this twice just to make it a little bit easier, but this is a nice way to make it a nice clean look on your tassel. So you're going to make a loop, wrap it around your tassel, snip it off, and that end that you just snipped off is going to go through your loop, and when you pull, it ties under the rope, so you can't even see that knot right there, which makes it really fun when you're using 2 different colors. So here it is a little bit closer up. You're going to make your loop, wrap it around, snip off your twine and put it through that loop, and when you pull, it ties the knot under there so that you can't see it. It makes a nice finished look. Now, in order to cut the bottom off nice and straight, we're going to just put a little bit of painter's tape around our tassel and cut right in the middle of that painter's tape. That ensures that it's a nice clean look on the bottom. And there we have it. So now that I've got my tassels, I'm ready to put my rope on there so that I can hang this. So just decide how long you would like your planter to be. I really liked how the one at Target was very long, so I cut mine a little bit longer. And now you're just going to put your rope through the hole and through that little window that we made in the twine earlier. And this is why we gave it a little bit of slack, so that we can kind of move the twine out of the way and put the rope right through. Once I've done that, I'm going to tie a quick knot. And then I'm just going to wrap it around the rope. Now, this part is not strictly necessary. It's just to give it a little bit of visual interest, but that's one of the details that I liked when I saw the inspiration piece in Target. So I decided to add that little wrapped part around each one of my ropes. Once you've got that secured, you can add your tassel right onto that same spot. I'm just going to tie it around my rope that I used to hang it and tie it right on there. Now, about this time, I realized that my inspiration piece was only suspended by 3 points and I did 4, but that's okay. I think it still looks lovely, and it was much easier for me to get the ropes to hang evenly when I did 4. So you can do what makes you feel happy, but I absolutely love the way this came out. I repeated the same process on all of the sides, and it's bright and cheery, and I absolutely love it. So the last DIY was one that I loved. I thought it was beautiful, and I kind of wanted to experiment. $70 was way too much for me to pay, so I wanted to see if I could put this together with Dollar Tree items. You guys might be able to give me some pointers too. So I started out by grabbing 3 of these plungers from Dollar Tree, and I just cut them off. Now, my miter box only had a 90-degree and a 45-degree angle. I did realize afterwards that if I could have gotten a 30-degree angle, that would have been even better, and I actually only cut 1 inch off, but I would recommend cutting like 5 or 6 inches off. Mine ended up being way too long, so when you do this at home, go ahead and make them shorter. So I just went ahead and sanded down all the rough edges. Now, this darker piece was a plunger that I used in a previous project for St. Patrick's Day. Now that the holiday is over, I decided to reuse that piece. And the inspiration piece had natural acacia wood, I believe it was, but I'm going to go ahead and paint mine white, for 1 because I like that color, and for 2 because I needed to cover up that darker piece. Now, this is one of the round mirrors that I got from Dollar Tree that I decided to use as a base, and I painted that white also. I got this planter from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to go ahead and wrap my rope all the way around. But what I really liked about the inspiration piece was that white detailing around the top. So what I did was I measured how long the top would be, and I multiplied that by 2. So I cut another piece the same length. I would recommend doing an extra inch or 2 because mine did end up being too short, and giving it another inch would just make it a lot easier to adjust. Next, I'm going to glue those 2 pieces together so that they're essentially one thicker piece of rope. Next, I grabbed some raffia, and this is just some white raffia that I got off of Amazon. They do have raffia at the Dollar Tree. I've never seen white there, but you could also use white yarn if you'd like to. But I used that to wrap around my 2 pieces of rope that I glued together to make that white detailing. Now, I did not measure this exactly, but I did put about 1 inch or 2 in between each section of white. I actually didn't want it to be perfect. I like kind of that natural haphazard look that I saw in the inspiration piece. So I just eyeballed it and let them fall wherever they fell. So once I completed the whole thing, I had this one long piece, and I took my planter and I just used my hot glue gun to glue it all the way around the top of my planter. Now, once I had this attached, I repeated the same process 2 more times, making sure that I kind of measured each time because of the shape of the planter. Each of these sections had to be a little bit of a different size. Now, because this planter had a little edge to the top, I just did 3 times and it was covered. I think the inspiration piece had 5 layers with the white, and you can keep going if you'd like. But what I did was I just used that edge as an opportunity to do my white there, and then I started wrapping my rope around just like we've done in previous projects. I covered the entire planter, and I left the bottom open on this one because it won't be hanging, no one will see the bottom. I did want the top to look a bit more finished though, so what I did was I just went back around the top with 1 string of the rope just to cover up that plastic edge right there. And after I had that completed, the whole thing was done. So now I just needed to make that base. So I took my plungers that I had cut and painted and my mirror, and I glued it right on, but then I realized that that mirror piece actually has cardboard, which is not strong enough to hold this. So I grabbed my E6000, removed that cardboard piece, and glued this directly onto the back of the glass. I realized in hindsight that I should have actually glued the glass into that circular plastic piece, so if you're doing this at home, I would recommend that. I let it dry, and I love the way this came out. I think it looks really cute. It's kind of like a boho, but also kind of a modern feel to it, and I just love it. I was just using artificial plants. If you're going to use anything with soil, I would definitely recommend using a very strong adhesive, or even using some wood and some nails to make sure that that base is stable. But I think the pot is cute on its own. So you guys, I love all 3 of those projects, but my favorite has got to be that hanging planter. I love the natural fibers. It gives a little bit of a boho feel, which is more the look that I have in my craft room, and it just brightens my day every time I look at it. Make sure to head down to the comments and let me know which was your favorite. So for today's treat, I have something that I've been making for my kids. They've been home a lot more than they normally would, and I think we're all snacking a little more than we normally would and should probably calm down on this. But this treat is made out of fruit. I do not feel bad about giving it to them, and they just smile every time I make it. If you've been following me since the beginning of this channel, you might have seen this in my daughter's lunchbox, but it's a fan favorite in this house. So I'm gonna show you guys how I make these apple ladybugs, or as my kids like to call them, love bugs. Okay guys, it's time to eat. So this is a really easy way to make that fruit look adorable for your kids, or really even just for yourself. You're gonna need an apple and some grapes, and I have some candy eyes. You could really just use some icing if you wanted to make the eyes. Now I'm gonna cut this apple in half, and I purposely chose an apple that was half red and half green. I thought that would make it look really cute, but you could do this with any color apple you want. Now I went ahead and peeled the core out. If you have an apple core, that makes it even easier. I just put a little lemon juice on it. Usually I'm making this before my kids are going to eat it, so that just helps it from turning brown. And once I've got both of those done, I'm going to just lightly take my knife, and I'm not cutting all the way, I'm just cutting just through the skin, and I'm going to make a little line down the middle of my apple. And I put a little lemon juice on that as well. Now, once that's done, I'm using this star cutout. My kids like stars and hearts and things like that. If you're doing this at home, you could really even just use a circle, a straw, or like a circle cookie cutter, anything that you'd like. And I'm just going to cut slightly into my apple and then pop that shape right out. Now, each step of the way I am adding lemon juice because my kids will not eat apples if they're even the slightest bit brown, even though I have explained to them that it still tastes the same. But in order to get them to eat it, I take that extra step. Now, once I've gotten my stars out of both sides, I'm going to alternate the colors. So I'm taking the green stars and popping them into the red side, and taking the red side and the red stars and popping them into the green side. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the little head of my bugs. So I'm using grapes for this. If you are going to have these out for a party or something, you could actually use a toothpick to hold those in place. I'm just putting these on the table for my kids. So I'm just going to put that in there. Now I'm using peanut butter as the glue. Since I recorded this, I found out that my kids are allergic to nuts, so I actually use cookie icing now instead as my glue, but you could use any kind of nut butter or icing or anything you have on hand, and all I'm doing is sticking those little candy eyes right on there. And that's all there is to it. 2 cute little apple love bugs. You guys, I hope you enjoyed these projects. I hope this gave you some inspiration, and I hope that you're able to do some window shopping and then maybe just order 1 or 2 things on Amazon to get your creative juices flowing and make some really beautiful projects. I saved so much money on these, and crafting, you guys, is seriously my therapy, so I really enjoyed doing them. Let me know which one was your favorite, and I'll see you next time when we repeat it all again. Thanks so much for watching.